Hello, welcome to the first FoxOS devlog. So FoxOS is a new operating system that I am making. As you can see, well, technically it's not a real operating system, it's a distribution of the Linux operating system. But no matter, it is a new operating system that I'm making that, as you can see, is aimed to be simple, accessible, community-based, and made with love. So the difference between FoxOS and other Linux distributions like Debian or Fedora is that FoxOS is made from scratch, designed specifically for modern desktop and server usages, for modern computers using modern technology, for the x86 64-bit architecture. And it's also designed to be as simple, as reliable, and as fast as possible. Those are the goals that we have for FoxOS. In addition to this, to all that I've said before, FoxOS also tries to be a system that is entirely industry standard and entirely community developed. We try to avoid any corporate software and any software that's developed by one individual. We try to be as industry standard and community based as possible because that's a better model of governance and it's a more sustainable model of governance too. So the first component of FoxOS is cider, which is the hackable package build system of FoxOS, analogous to A-build in Alpine Linux, PKG build in Arch Linux, and Sol build in Solus. So the difference between cider and those other systems is that, well, there are many differences. Actually, cider is a pretty radical package build tool. It's written entirely in Ruby. It is very, very simple and very, very minimalistic. It is well commented, and it has a custom toolchain. So instead of relying on the system toolchain, which can be unreliable, we don't know what C compiler it is, we don't know anything really, the cider build tool downloads a binary toolchain from the Zig website. Zig is a toolchain that is new and upcoming. Well, it's actually a programming language, but it also ships with a C toolchain, which can be used to compile C code. So we download the Zig toolchain in binary form and then use that Zig toolchain to compile everything. So that means that no matter what computer you're on, cider builds are reproducible and cider builds are standardized based on a standardized compiler based on the modern LLVM CLang compiler architecture, including the LLD linker, the compiler RT libraries, etc. So this means that we're completely avoiding GCC and whatnot. We are completely embracing LLVM CLang, which I believe to be the next generation industry standard solution, as well as being faster and better written in general than GCC, written in very clear object-oriented code. So So this entire system is designed to be as simple and as straightforward, as industry standard as possible. And let me show you how to build a package using cider. So here I am in my package repository called Prairie, which is the package repository for FoxOS. And as you can see, not a lot of packages are built yet, but I can, for example, build BusyBox. So let me clean it up first, because I already had it built before, and it clones it from GitHub, it patches it, and now it's building it. And notice that the input is colorized, which signifies that it is indeed using CLang. And it should now build. So, as you can see, it gets installed into the cauldron, and you have your binaries. And in fact, because FoxOS is an entirely static Musel-based Linux distribution with very, very strong optimization options, as you can see here, if you do LDD on the binary, you can see that it is entirely static, and it is heavily optimized, stripped, and only a few kilobytes. So Cider has the capacity to use a reproducible, statically linked tool chain to build reproducible, statically linked binaries, which can be installed or brought about easily. So let me show you the recipe for the BusyBox thing. This is the recipe. That's it. That's it. That's the recipe. That's how simple it is. This is why Cider is great, because it allows you to define recipes in this simple, straightforward Ruby domain-specific language that's also pretty good looking. And then it builds it automatically and applies all the right configurations. So people who are, if you're trying to make a package, it's really easy to do so. So I'm going to demonstrate making another package, this time GNU Hello. This is another example package that we can make. So here is the Git URL, because Cider clones directly from Git. Let's make our recipe class hello recipe. Source is our Git. And version, let's see what the latest version is, 2.10. So just copy the tag. Define our build steps. And we know that because it's GNU, then it uses auto tools. So auto tools. And that should work. Okay. Now let's try cider build hello. Okay, that's odd. Okay, so maybe that's a bad example. Because obviously it needs some tweaking to get working. GNU lib at bbava 6c. Anyway, so you can see how easy it is to make a recipe. Of course, there are still improvements to be made, and GNU software, some things to be done. There's probably a patch that needs to be applied to make GNU lib work properly. But the point is that Cider can now build packages somewhat well, and it's pretty cool. See you next time. Goodbye.